Hello one and all, and welcome to another episode of From the Cinema. I am your host, Josh Rudolph, and today on Halloween, we take a look at one of the newest horror movies to come out, The Lighthouse. This film was co-written and directed by Robert Eggers, the director behind the hit horror film from 2015, The Witch, and this film stars Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe as the only actors in the film, as lighthouse keepers that have to not only maintain the lighthouse, but also maintain their sanity and maybe, hopefully, not go crazy. Now, going into this film, I had no idea what to expect. I had never seen The Witch. I wanted to keep as little information from me for this film as possible because I saw maybe like the first trailer and it looked creepy beyond all belief, and I got really excited, but that trailer revealed nothing, so I learned nothing about the film, and that's what I went in. I went in basically completely blind, and I was thoroughly surprised by the film. One of the things about this film that I love so much was the performances from everyone. Robert Pattinson, who the only other film I've seen from him is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Never seen anything else of him, so I really don't have any say in his career. He gives the best performance of his career in this film. He is just goes 110% in basically every single thing. He is both mesmerizing but also completely terrifying in the film. If there's really any reason to see the film, is because of his dedicated performance is incredible, and I honestly hope that he gets an Oscar nomination for the film. Willem Dafoe as well in the film gives another A-grade performance from himself. He's always been good at playing crazy roles with, like, you know, Green Goblin from Spider-Man, but here it's a different kind of crazy. It's more of like a madness kind of crazy, more seafaring, if you get what I mean. His performance, while it is subtle in most parts, there are definitely those moments of the Willem Dafoe crazy coming out, and it's fantastic. And his also, like, you know, sea captain-y kind of voice that you hear in the film, perfect. It was fantastic. Now, one thing I was worried about going into this film was it would be a weird, more symbolic kind of horror film like Hereditary or Midsommar was, because A24, who released this film, has a tendency to release horror films like those. So I was a bit worried about that because my personal preference is not to have the entire film symbolic. I do like symbolism here and there, but the entire thing, it loses me if it's like that. Now here, there is some symbolism, but it is not the entire film. You understand what's happening through and through. It's because it's about the psychological madness that happens in a person when they're just alone for so long, and the film gets it so perfect. It is just fantastic on those levels, and I'm really glad that it was not all symbolic horror like Midsommar. I know I've repeated Midsommar a lot in this review and other reviews, but I really don't like Midsommar. Now, one thing that I absolutely loved of this film was the cinematography and lighting. The film goes with a very old school 4:3 aspect ratio, so it's like even smaller than before, and it goes black and white, and it feels so cramped, you feel so isolated, and the lighting it uses mostly natural lighting when it comes to night scenes. It adds such a level of fear and tension to the film that I was not expecting, and if this film doesn't get nominated for cinematography, I'm going to be furious because it was that good. Every single aspect of this film, because of the cinematography, got an added level of terrifying to it because of how well it was. Even the daytime scenes when he's outside or inside, it feels more creepy. It feels more intense because of the way that it's lit and the way that it's shot. It is that good with its cinematography, and the cinematographer needs to be commended for their work because it was fantastic. Now, I wouldn't say this is your typical horror film when it comes to, like, you know, other horror films like slashers like Halloween or other films like that. This is, like I said before, this is much more of a psychological horror film. It delves more deep into the mind and the madness that lies within someone and how isolation can really bring this out in a person. It's unsettling, it's weird, it is definitely not going to be for everyone, I can assure you on that. There was a group of people that sat next to me during the movie. They did not like the film. They got creeped out at some parts, but they found it too weird. They didn't like it. Like, it wasn't like what they were expecting, and I can understand that. They probably went in with some sort of expectations for it and didn't really keep their mind at, like, you know, a more focused, like, unexpected level. They went in probably more expecting a traditional horror film with jump scares throughout and not really slow burn. That's really the best way I can say this. This is a slow burn horror film. It takes a while to set up for the scares, but when they come, oh, they are effective and they are very, very creepy, and the best part of the film, especially the third act. The third act is some of the most intense third act horror that I've seen in a horror film in a very long time. More so than like Halloween, which I reviewed a few weeks ago. This film just gets the scares so much more because it's much more psychological than any other horror film I've seen in a very long time. So if you like psychological horror or if you like slow burn horror, this is definitely for you. But if you don't like either of those and are expecting more jump scares through and through, you're going to be disappointed by this. Do not go in expecting a traditional horror film. It is not that. But if that's what you're expecting, then I would just say avoid this film entirely, because it's not going to be your cup of tea. You're not going to enjoy it. There is some body horror elements here and there, are very like odd and very creepy body horror elements, not typical like Saw, but very distinctive and very its own, that it's also gonna turn some people off. I can assure you of that. The direction from Robert Eggers was also fantastic. After seeing this film, I want to go back and watch The Witch, which was his first film, because he just got the best performances that he possibly could have given from his actors, and he also got just he has an amazing sense of scope, scale, and just tension for the film. I can't wait to see what other horror films that he makes, and I want to go back and rewatch The Witch. If you have rewatched The Witch, let me know how it is, because I'm very curious what it's like. Overall, I found The Lighthouse to be a very surprising horror film, from incredibly dedicated performances from both of its leads, to very tense scares, to amazing cinematography. This was definitely a film that I had no idea was going to be as good as it was, but it has now quickly become one of my favorite films of the years. It is fantastic. I absolutely loved it. If you're a fan of psychological and slow burn horror films, I definitely recommend you go see this film. But if not, I'd still say go see this film for Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe's dedicated performances, because they make this film. They are absolutely incredible. And yes, please go check out The Lighthouse. It is that good. I'm going to give The Lighthouse a 9 out of 10. If you have seen The Lighthouse, let me know what you think of it below, and make sure that you follow me and Mason Cable Network on all our social medias, and make sure you subscribe to make sure that you catch up on all these episodes each and every week, and I will see you all next time.